Hey guys, Chris here. Just finished up my my morning 10,000 step walk run on the Bay Run. Beautiful little spot here, isn't it? And I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a, I started to do this weekly video blog for you guys. We'll get back into it. And today's story is about the short and long sword, the samurai precision methodology behind selling pretty much anything in the world. I'm reading a book at the moment called The Five Rings, which is essentially a book that teaches strategy from the Japanese warlords from back in the day. Hundreds and hundreds of years ago, probably even thousands. And the way that they explain their strategy for, potentially winning wars and beating their what would you explain it? Their enemies. I don't want to use the word enemies because that it bears relevance to our clients in this, different metaphor. But what they do bears a lot of relevance to what we do. So, or what we should do. What they do and how they train their soldiers is quite similar to how we should be running our sales pipelines and businesses. So if you're a salesperson, a business owner, a coach, consultant, agency owner, whatever it might be, if you have to generate clients and sell people into your products, services, programs, whatever it might be, you should take a note out of the book of the Japanese armies to do so. When they are training their soldiers, what they do, the warriors, whatever you want to call them, they give them two different swords to work with. The first sword, they call the long sword, is a, who would have guessed, a longer sword that, when an enemy is within reach of the long sword, you can hurt them to some degree. We don't want to hurt our clients, but what we're going to do is be able to hit our clients with something that brings them into us or, stops them in their tracks and we get the result that we want. With the long sword, what they do is they find a way to actually obviously do whatever they can to the people out there. And then they have a short sword for the people who are closer to them. Now, with us, as our businesses grow and what we're trying to achieve, I'm sure that if the warriors had something that could have made the long sword a much easier process for them, something automated, they would have been able to win, wars and whatever it might have been a lot easier. Because I'm sure that if they were, using the long sword and the short sword, they would have got a lot tired. They would have got stupidly tired every time that they were in a position that they actually had to go out to war, because the same, principles and methodologies that they were using to actually, close the deal for themselves when someone was close with the short sword, they were doing with the long sword. So the way I bear this relevant is when we are generating, prospecting, or we're prospecting whatever it might be for new clients and canvassing to get new people into our potential ecosystem that we can get on the phone and close. Where I've screwed up in the past, I've been doing this for 12 years now, 13 maybe. When I first started selling things and looking for clients, I would hunt really hard and I would go and cold call as many people as I possibly could. And when you're cold calling a whole lot, it's very tiring. There's not a lot of quick result. And it's sort of, it can bash your mental mindset if you don't have the resilience to continue doing it at the same time. So it's very rare that I will ever tell anyone to cold call. Actually, I never tell anyone to cold call. It's ridiculous in this day and age. What you should, and where I'm trying to be relevant there, is the long sword that people, when I first started selling, I used was cold calling. The long sword was cold calling to get people into the ecosystem where I could get on the phone again and sell them and close them on the phone, being the short sword. If the Japanese warriors had something where they could have automated that long sword process instead of the cold calling or using the long sword to get someone in, I'm sure they would have used it, and I'm sure they would have won a whole lot more wars too. So in our business worlds today, we have a multitude of different options to use to actually get people in to our inboxes, into our potential client lead list, where we can actually get on the phone and close them into our programs, products and services at the same time too. And if we aren't using two different swords right now, we will end up really tired and it'll be really challenging for us too. So what we should do is find a long sword that we can automate to get new prospects, clients, people into our calendar booked meetings so we can actually close them into our services, whatever it might be. You can use cold email, don't need to. It is a really cheap, simple way to do so, and it's probably the easiest to set up without any crazy methodologies behind it. Facebook ads, a little bit harder, a little bit more challenging, does cost a lot more if you don't do it right at the same time too. Google ads, very similar. Depending on what you do, what you sell, where you are in your selling career and all sort of stuff as well, There's different ways you can go about it. But the long sword that we generally tend to use is cold email marketing for a few different areas. I do use cold email, I do use Facebook ads, and I do use Google as well. Google and Facebook ads are more so for webinar registrations for direct to consumer. So you may be here right now because of a Facebook ad or a Google ad. But for the people who we reach out to create some fantastic partnerships, we reach, and you may be here right now because someone that you've worked with, you have bought something from them before, introduce you to us from a email telling you to go either edifying me and telling you to go watch our webinar or go and download our book. We used a cold email campaign to go and reach out to all these people who could have been perfect potential partners for us, who then introduced us to their lists, and this is a great joint venture partnership. So the long sword that we used was, we actually used a really, I guess the best way to explain it is a really smart long sword, because it brings down, it costs us nothing to get you here, if that makes sense. We sent out a cold email campaign, the initial long sword. The short sword was getting someone on the phone, being the joint venture partnership, to actually close them into an opportunity where they would be more than happy to actually send out our offers to their database, which is why you may be here right now. And you're here right now, and I'm speaking to you right now because of either that or the other long sword when it comes down to it. The reason I tell you this is because if you don't have a long sword that is automated, you are leaving a lot of money on the table. You're probably spending too much time, effort and energy trying to attract clients, and it's going to be at your detriment to some degree, because we're in a game of energy more than anything else. And if you don't have enough energy to get through and actually close the people, you're going to actually be in a position where you may actually end up throwing the towel in and getting exhausted and wanting to go home and neck yourself to some degree. It's true. And the smartest thing to do, what we teach all our clients and what I reckon you should be doing as well. I only ever give you suggestions. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I can tell you what works and what doesn't. Cold calling works if you want to burn out really quickly and not love your life in any way, shape and form, and you're reliant on that, so you need to be a part of that process. All of our long swords, all of our prospecting for most clients doesn't involve me at all, except for when the short sword comes out to get on the phone and close deals either with you guys, or actually even then it's not all, it's still a long sword for that point. But with partnerships and all these other things, that's the short sword. So for you need to find yourself a long sword. What I recommend for you to do is Facebook ads and Google ads, too expensive. If you don't know how to run them, they can be very, 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 very challenging for you at the same time too. If you're B2B, the smartest thing you could probably do is set up a cold email campaign that would go and get a bucket load of potential direct-to-consumer clients. Go and generate a list of people you would like to work with and send out a cold email campaign that has 4 to 5 emails in that sequence to say, hey, this is what we can do for you. We'd like to work with you. Did you hear what we said? Blah, blah, blah. Then that can be totally automated, and all you have to do is go and generate new lists and chuck it into that bucket to actually get them to come and potentially be interested and book in for a meeting with you, where you can use short sword, twist, and get them on board to actually want to be a part of your ecosystem and your world. What I would do is, if you aren't B2B, because it can be a little bit more challenging, if you're business to consumer, where you actually sell a direct product to consumer rather than with a business more than anything else, I would use the same methodology that I just told you about with the joint venture partnerships. And I would set up a cold email campaign, the long sword, to a bucket load of joint venture partnerships. And if you don't know how to actually generate the thought process of what people would be best and who has your best client, just ask yourself this question. The people who currently buy your products and services right now, what do they buy before, during, or after, in alignment or alongside, or before they buy what you buy? What else do they buy around the same time? What's the gateway to them coming to you? Because the answers to those questions are very likely what's going to give you a great, thought, not thought process, that's the wrong word, a great insight. That's the word I was looking for. An insight as to all the possible potential opportunities for joint venture partnerships you could find. Because if someone, consistently buys something before, during, or after what you currently sell, there's a higher probability that all the people who they serve have the ability to, see value in what you currently do too. So if you go and create a fantastic joint venture partnership with them, they will be more than happy to, work out a deal with you to some degree to actually send out your offers, your products, your services to their lists, because they see the value addition at the same time too, much like you guys may be here right now. So if you're B2B, direct to consumer, but you can also do the partnership too. If you're B2C, your long sword could just be a joint venture partnership campaign that would bring people in that you actually get them to do the selling for you. It's super simple, super smart. But the whole point of doing this video, it went a little bit longer than I expected. I only really wanted to go for 5 minutes, but I wanted to get the whole story behind it at the same time too. And I really apologize if I repeated myself a couple times, but it is very important stuff. Is much like the warriors, we must have a long sword and a long sword and a short sword. I would recommend, again, just a suggestion, that your long sword is not one that depletes you of energy, but one that is totally automated and brings people into your ecosystem that actually want to potentially speak with you to find out how you can help them. So that when you bring the short sword out and you get on the phone, or whatever your short sword may be, they're already pre-framed, they already are interested, and they already want to work with you, or they have an interest in what you have to say in the first place. It makes your whole life a whole lot easier, and I promise you that the Japanese army probably would have had a much better and easier time if they had an automated longsword. And then when you have them in your ecosystem, you can get them on the phone and say, hey, it'd be silly if you didn't work with us. Here's what it is, whatever, however you close. If you are looking to work out how to make that a little bit easier for you, if you click above or below, there'll be an option to do so on both. You can go and watch our webinar. It will show you specifically how to set up a cold email campaign that will do that for you. If you want to do the Facebook ad stuff, I probably don't have enough content around that to teach you, but you can probably go find the content on that. But for a cold email campaign, to go do that, because it's the cheapest, there's no friction behind it, and it is probably the easiest way to get people to actually say yes to something in the quickest way possible. If you go watch that webinar, it will show you step by step how to set up a cold email campaign that would do that for you and become your automated longsword. I would recommend that you do that, and you do that really, really, really quickly. I fully back it. We use it, and I can't wait to see what results you guys get too. Have a fantastic day. Sorry for the long video. And I'll speak to you guys soon. Enjoy using the long and short swords and becoming samurai precision salespeople. Peace.